In SAP Convergent Invoicing, the entire billing pipeline builds toward a single critical operation, the generation of the financial posting. If this process fails, no revenue hits the general ledger, and no receivables are recorded for the customer. When you look at a finalized FICA posting document on screen, like the document display shown here, you see a neat summary of the contract accounting data. But beneath this interface, the document splits into 3 database tables. The header data in DFKKKO records document type and dates. Below that, DFKKOP stores business partner open items, the actual receivables. Finally, DFKKOPK holds general ledger items, routing revenue and taxes for corporate reporting. These 3 tables dictate the actual financial reality of the enterprise. If the data is wrong here, the company's financial statements are wrong. Developers need to know exactly what logic writes to these rows. To reliably implement convergent invoicing, we have to reverse engineer this document and isolate the exact mechanisms that populate it. Tracing the data flow back to its origin in this pipeline diagram, we start with raw billing documents. They don't go straight to finance. Instead, they create temporary invoicing orders in table DFKKINV_trig, queuing for the invoicing run. The primary output of that invoicing run is the invoicing document, stored in table DFKKINV_doc. This invoicing document, table DFKKINV_doc, exists primarily as a print framework and billing consolidation layer. It contains no data that updates the general ledger or contract accounts directly. The actual financial postings, our header, business partner, and general ledger tables, are generated as a discrete parallel artifact at stage 6 of the pipeline. Because the financial posting is completely decoupled from the printed invoicing document, SAP requires a dedicated translation engine to map convergent invoicing data into these FICA tables. This translation is handled by invoicing functions. These are modular processing steps that execute specific business tasks during an invoicing run. The mandatory function responsible for generating the financial posting is the invoicing of billing documents, identified in this core functions list by the technical code inv_build_doc. Inv_build_doc takes the source billing data and derives the baseline structure for the FICA posting. It relies on posting area 2605, a configuration table assigning the correct FICA document type to the posting based on the specific invoicing process run. However, inv_build_doc is highly standardized. It builds the basic groundwork but cannot natively execute complex business logic, like specialized tax calculations or deferred revenue splits. To inject custom logic before the arrays are permanently committed to the database, SAP relies on a system-wide interception mechanism known as event technology. FKEVENT technology, or FQEVENTs, provides predetermined exit points embedded in the standard SAP code. At these junctures, standard processing pauses for custom logic. This architecture is governed by 3 customizing tables. Table TFKFBM stores standard SAP sample modules used as templates. Next, TFKFBS holds industry-specific modules for sectors like utilities. Finally, TFKFBC is the critical table where you register installation-specific custom code. The system orchestrates these tables using a single function module called FKK_func_module_determine. This orchestrator runs at every triggered event. It scans the 3 tables in sequence to identify exactly which ABAP modules are authorized to execute. By understanding this scanning sequence, developers can safely override standard FICA behavior and inject their own logic without modifying core SAP code. SAP contains thousands of available events, but convergent invoicing targets a highly specific numerical range to manage posting documents. As shown in this nomenclature overview, events 2600 through 2799 are dedicated exclusively to FICA invoicing. Within this exact range, the temporary posting arrays, the data that is about to become the header, business partner, and general ledger tables, are exposed to the developer via function module interfaces. Any data manipulation required for the final financial posting must be coded into custom function modules assigned directly within this 2600 to 2799 range. Let's look at a common business requirement, deferred revenue recognition. This logic directly targets the general ledger items table, DFKKOPK. During the convergent invoicing run, event 2615 acts as the entry point where all revenue recognition logic is defined. At runtime, this event ingests the billing data, the invoicing data, and the draft FICA document. It processes these inputs and returns a structured revenue recognition schedule with specific dates and amounts. This dictates exactly how the deferred revenue maps to the proper revenue accounts. Without Event 2615, complex revenue splits across future periods fail to reach the general ledger correctly. In other cases, data doesn't just need to be mapped, it must be externally calculated. Taxes are a primary example. To handle this, the invoicing process triggers Event 1110 as a cross-application enhancement point. Event 1110 pauses the system and makes a remote function call to an external tax engine, passing the draft invoice data out of SAP entirely. The external engine calculates the tax and passes the data back into convergent invoicing. As seen in this document display, the system uses that response to create distinct new tax lines, like this O tax item row, within both the invoice and the resulting posting document. Event 1110 demonstrates how FQEVents can pause the pipeline, communicate with third-party software, and dynamically append new rows to the FICA tables based on the response. Populating the Business Partner Items table, DFKKOP, requires multiple events to execute in a specific sequence. Take Event 2603. During an invoicing run, this event checks whether final billing documents are being processed. If they are, it flags the invoicing type as final billing. Further down the pipeline, Event 2622 is triggered to read that exact flag. Event 2622 uses the final billing status as a prerequisite to calculate interest exclusively on cash security deposits. The resulting interest charge is then appended directly as a new open item in the DFKKOP table. FQEVents form an interconnected logic chain that shapes the final customer-facing receivables. The creation of a financial posting in Stage 6 relies on a strict duality. The core CI function, INV-BELDOC, builds the baseline skeleton of the posting document, but event technology, specifically the custom modules assigned within the 2600 to 2799 range, acts as the muscle. It actively mutates the arrays and populates the specialized financial data. To architect reliable convergent invoicing solutions, developers must stop viewing FICA postings as a black box and master the event layer that constructs them. True system control belongs to those who understand the precise intersection of CI functions and ABAP enhancement points.